Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Ooh, welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 414. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
That's me playing the guitar, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
So you're welcome for that, for blessing your ears with my talent. I wish.
Yeah,
I've never played an instrument. Do you? Have you ever played one?
I tried learning guitar one time.
I tried for like a week.
Didn't last.
Yeah, it's weird. You're either an athlete or a musician. Rarely do you get both.
But that's what's crazy about that intro is you just hit me up one day. You're like, yo, I was down in my garage. I just ripped this off real quick. I'm sending you the file.
One take.
And I said, wow, I got to use that for something. And the intro was born.
Didn't need any payment for it. I was like, it's all good.
The intro was born, and unbeknownst to Nate, a musical career was born.
Yeah.
Goes on tour tomorrow.
Oh.
All right. Opposite ends of the spectrum there, but I'll choose to believe you go on tour tomorrow. Can somebody free our guy Joey Votto? I can't take it anymore with this. I'll say it, depressing version of a once happy man. These videos that he keeps posting. Driving through a car wash, taking a cooking class. He was doing laundry or something the other day. He goes, this isn't spring training. This isn't spring training. This isn't spring training. Can we please get our guy to spring training?
No, he should have retired. What?
This
is on him.
He didn't pop out to what? The first baseman until like last weekend for the first time in his career. Or something like that.
Yeah, I know. That was weird.
I think that's deserving of a contract, if nothing else.
Just that
alone. But either somebody sign him or he needs to retire because this campaign that he's on right now, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel for the guy, but also let's make something happen.
I think a lot of these teams are probably just, this is a problem. And this is what we talked about last week. Like, I wouldn't mind a nice little free agency deadline situation. I don't know, man. I think maybe teams are just going to wait it out, see what spring training looks like for a week or two. See, I think what Joey Votto is. Like, what you're getting. So it's like, hey, let's feel this out. Do we have anything going on here? If not, add him in. I can think of some rosters that could benefit from a Mr. Joey Votto. So
there's maybe 10 rosters that absolutely have no interest, don't need him. Mm-hmm. They're beyond signing Joey Votto, and there's probably a handful that would maybe be interested but can't because of roster situations. But then the rest, you're telling me nobody could use a Joey Votto? Come on, even just for a year. Put him on some posters.
It's weird how he went from zero social media ever up until 2 years ago. And then he just dabbled into Instagram or Twitter, and now look at him. The guy's documenting his entire life.
Do you think here's a question. Do you think he'd be interested in joining our fantasy league if he ends up not playing this year?
I think it's worth an offer.
Should I reach out?
We should. Dig up his email somewhere.
Well, you said it, and I agree. The dude's never been more active on social media than right now.
It's fair.
Might just hit him up. Hit him up on Instagram. Joey, come on.
I don't hate
Actually,
the idea.
you know what? Let me see right now.
You're going to do it right now.
Let me see if I can message him. He may have one of those accounts where you can't. Hold on. Let me see. No, nope, not Joey Votto. Joey Votto. Oh, I can message him.
Joey Votto is clearly occupied. I don't think he'd want to join the league.
I went to our messages and it was tagged. The post from back on April 7th, 2022. Joey Votto just popped out to the picture for the first time ever. Over 8,000 plate appearances. Anyway.
That's such a sick stat. That's so weird. That's such a weird sick stat.
How should I phrase this? Joey.
It's a good start. It's a good start. Yeah.
Professional.
Yeah. I don't hate it. It's direct.
Mr. Votto. Joey. If no team makes the obviously correct choice to sign you, we have a spot in our fantasy league with your name on it.
Just ask him to be the third guy on. Let's just bring him on as the third host. Just join the pod.
P.S.
You can also come onto the podcast.
We're looking for a third host.
There it is.
For the podcast. Kyle.
Perfect.
Just keep it in mind. All right.
Do you think he's actually bald, or is he one of those guys that like chooses to do that?
A little both.
I don't think he needs to.
Like you, if you just put like a little bit of work into it, I know you just shaved it all off, but
I could probably save it if I wanted to.
you could save it. You could salvage it. They got stuff for that, but
yeah,
it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I got nothing. Cody Bellinger. Let's think of a transition. Cody Bellinger.
All right.
Look. This 3-year, $80 million deal. People keep saying, well, it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year deal because it has opt-out after the first and second years. Can I be honest with you? Right here off the top.
Off the rip?
Right off the rip. I know in seasons past, I've predicted a Cody Bellinger comeback, and we got that Cody Bellinger comeback.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction right here, right now. Forget the hot takes and predictions episode coming your way next month.
I feel something steamy coming.
Cody Bellinger's staying put in Chicago because he's not going to be able to test the market with the way that his next couple seasons unfold. He's not going to have a choice. He's going to be staying put. And it blows my mind. This guy signed for 3 years, $80 million. That's I could do with or without. I don't care as much about that. But you go back, rewind a week ago. MLB trade rumors had Cody Bellinger signing for 12 years, $264 million. Now, I know that prediction came out weeks, months ago as we transitioned into the free agency period. But that's where it was at. I don't think if we were looking at this situation with even the slightest hint of common sense that we're looking at that going, yeah, that's likely. That's doable. For a guy like Cody Bellinger, one of the most inconsistent guys we've seen in years past.
Yeah, that's wild. No, you're not getting 12 years. Sorry. I think that was the biggest issue. That's probably the biggest issue is why
Without
this
a
took
doubt.
so long. Him and his camp were probably sitting around expecting at least like an 8-year deal.
Okay, let me ask you this. We've been covering Cody since, well, I say Cody. We've been covering the league since before Cody's MVP season, because that was 2019, if I believe.
Sure.
Or maybe, was it 2018? No, 2019, I believe. Given what we've seen since, knowing what we know about Cody, the way he's played, the consistency, the inconsistency, how many years would you have given him? Like, what's the max number of years you would have given him? He got 3.
He's 28 this year. I think it's more about the AAV than anything else for me. Because I have a feeling he probably had some offers out there that were like 5 for 80.
In my head, I'm thinking I'd be comfortable with 4.
I would have probably done 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because of the defensive flexibility. I feel like that's an added perk. But the offense, that's what makes me nervous. What dollar amount would you throw in on that 4-year deal? And just straight 4, no options?
I would have thrown in an option, certainly, but the 4 years for me, I would be comfortable doing 4 because it's like 4 years of you could find worse than 4 years of Cody Bellinger. And if it doesn't pan out the first year or 2, it would still be a manageable enough contract where you could trade it to somebody who would be like, well, let's see if we can find the MVP Cody Bellinger. I'm tired of hearing MVP Cody Bellinger. Like we're well past that window. Stop. Like right. I read it in all the reports, and I get it. He earned it. He's owed that to his name. I understand, but we're beyond MVP Cody Bellinger. We're likely not going to see that version of Cody Bellinger again. So we can't be utilizing that moniker as leverage in this situation. Right. I mean, the deal's done, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been a sweet spot, 4 or 5, but
for 80, I think 3 years 80 is nuts.
Yeah, what is that? What is that? 20,
it's 26 and change.
26.
It's front loaded to where it's 30, 30, and then 20 in the last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't love that. I don't love seeing 1 year of you coming back and then saying, here's 30 mil.
I mean, this contract is essentially structured for him to bet on himself again and tap back into the market at the end of this year.
This is a great player deal. I think this is great. I would be stoked. If I didn't get the long-term deal I was hoping for, I'd be absolutely thrilled with this.
If I'm being honest,
Cubs side.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm okay with the option after the first year, because it's like, okay, you agree to come back here, we'll keep you in Chicago. We'll see how this first year goes. But if based on how it goes, you're either out of here or you're staying put, and we're going to keep you. But this second option, we're just going to run it back again. If this first year doesn't go the way either party plans, it's like, let's stick around. Let's try it again. It's like, no, either commit or get out.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a great situation for Cody, but I could have done with that. If I'm the Cubs, I maybe could have done without the second option, but they needed a guy and they got their guy.
It would have been, I don't know. I really don't know. 2 player options in a 3-year deal is crazy. I would have understood player option for year 2, club option for year 3.
Even better.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 2 years, I don't think I've been super familiar with deals like this before. Not in the short-term stuff. But good for him. I was looking through, dude's gotten paid.
Yeah.
Paid. because of arbitration stuff. Like back in 2020, I think that was post, because you said MVP was 2019, right?
Right. I'm like 99% sure.
Well, you keep going on that. You got 11.5 2020, 1 year arbitration settlement. Next year, 2021, 16.1 arbitration settlement. 17 the next year. 17.5 the next year. Which is just crazy.
Yeah, 2019.
And I don't know how it works. So the Cubs bought out $5.5 million. Why does it say buyout for 2024? I don't know how that works. Is that added into the overall 3-year 80? Maybe 5.5 was, I don't know. It says, I'm looking on Spot Track, Spo Track, whatever it is. It's my favorite website for contracts, by the way. And I'm looking at like year by year breakdown. It says 2024 buyout, 1 year, $5.5 million. I don't exactly understand how that means. And then it's current dead contracts. It says 2024, 3.5 or 5.5. I don't know what that means.
I'm not seeing that at all. I see 2024, 30 mil, 2025, 30 mil, opt out.
See that? I don't know what that means. Like, what was the buyout? He was a free agent.
That's over my head. I should probably understand that.
Can't say I do. I think there's a lot of loopholes financially that we don't know. Good for him, though. Got paid again. And this is an overpay in my mind. 1 year of coming back and giving like productive numbers. I'm not going to sit here and say it was like MVP caliber again, because we're tired of that combo, remember? But 1 year, like I'm going to need a little more proof in that pudding, you know?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, and this has been a topic of discussion, this comes back to Scott Boras. Like he's been in the news as of late because the Boras 4, I believe they're called, or Boras 5, are, I don't want to say slowing up the market, because we're at spring training. We're pretty much there. So it's really, we're just waiting this out. They're not exactly holding anybody back, but they're holding back some teams from finalizing their personnel plans. And Scott Boras came out and said just the other day, he said clubs have plenty of money to spend, but they're not spending in a manner that is customary to competitiveness. It's not that they don't have the ability to pay, but their choice is to regress on their payrolls. Yes and no. Scott, you can't look us in the eye and tell me that you really thought Cody Bellinger, of all people, was going to pull in a double-digit length, years in length contract.
I'm looking less into the fact that these are all Boras players. I'm looking more into the fact that like they're all have like some like red flags around them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like for obvious reasons, we just went through Cody, but like Snell's a little scary. You know what I mean? Has yet to prove that he can stick around for a full season and give up like ace numbers. Obviously the last Cy Young, he had like a huge setback the next year. So right. I think there's teams that are worried about that.
And talking about monikers and everything, throwing the Cy Young label at Blake Snell, yeah, he earned it. He worked for it. He put up the numbers to earn that. But I mean, this has to be one of the least confident Cy Youngs going into a subsequent season that I can remember in recent years. Like I'm not thrilled at the prospect of a Blake Snell leading a rotation. He's going to fit the bill for somebody, but it's not exactly the strength of a label that it might hold for somebody else, like a Garrett Cole, for example.
Yeah. But, and for the reasons we just said, right? Like the down year right after his first Cy Young. Also, he did this Cy Young in a weird way. And there are a lot of teams that have the philosophy that they don't like walks. And he's about this whatever kind of philosophy with walks. So he's a little different, right? And like Jordan Montgomery, we've seen some ebbs and flows with him. We saw an excellent postseason out of him. I'm not going to sit here and say he was fantastic all of last year. I think he just caught fire at the right time. So you're talking about names that are just like, I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, like it's their Boris contracts and these guys are going to do what they need to do. They're a little weird. They're a little different. And it's like a perfect storm of these free agents that are left around that are teams are tentative about. And I can't blame them for being tentative about it. I think Snell, Montgomery, like you said, I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there that are like, hey, we're not really sure we want to give you ace money because you haven't proven that you're an ace. And then you have a lot of these teams that maybe have a solid rotation, maybe already have an ace and have one of these guys, step in as a 2 or 3. You've also had the carrot dangled in front of you of Dylan Cease. And the White Sox saying, hey, we're going to retract that. So like, it's hard to sit there and say, hey, I want to sign Snell for this much for this long, when you could play the long game, test out your first half of the season with your rotation. And if Cease does become available or other arms around the league become available, you'd rather trade and use it as a rental, I think there's just a lot of moving factors to this whole group. But to sum up, I like Cody Bellinger staying with Chicago. I like what Chicago's trying to do. I like Craig Counsell coming in and, just kind of shifting things around. They're committing to guys and they seem like they have players that are kind of fun to bounce around a little bit. I watched a little bit of spring training the last few days, and like you watch Madrigal kind of bounce around. It's a lot of roster flexibility. So I like what they're doing. I'm about it. It's hard to see him anywhere else,
Yeah. I mean, well, what I was going to say, Cubbies are exciting me. But in regards to Bellinger, I don't know. I wasn't very emotionally invested in having him stay put in Chicago. Obviously Cubs fans wanted him, but if he would have went elsewhere, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm with you. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I thought Yankees would be a good fit pre-Soto, but post-Soto is like, no, it's all good.
Which quick side note here. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but
looks so good, doesn't it?
I don't know if I've ever seen a more perfect fit for the New York Yankees. Like the guy, Juan Soto was born to be a New York Yankee.
It looks so fire. It didn't hit me until I watched the first game, and I was like, oh boy, hitting the scoreboard in left center. Got the bat flip rock in the shuffle. It looks so good.
It's really unfortunate that you're only going to have that for a year.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Born to be a Yankee, and he'll be playing elsewhere next year. It's a real shame.
We'll see.
Real shame.
You could try to plant that. I don't know.
It'd be a real shame if another team within the division that has very, very strong Dominican roots maybe lured him.
Sure.
Lured him up north.
Sure.
Maybe a little northeast.
I really don't see that, but
That's what I said. You would hate to see it. You certainly would not want to see that.
You're finding your year-long talking points already, aren't you? You're coming back to this well. You will absolutely come back to this well.
I gotta latch on to something, Nate.
It's true.
I was thinking, I was in line for gas today, and I looked out the window and I said, I can't nail down how I feel about this team. I wake up one day and it's that meme where
that
it's
have to
like
do with gas. What do you?
That's the Costco lines. You got to wait, so that's where I just do a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking, because you're sitting there for a minute for good reason. That's cheap gas. But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this team. I wake up it's as I was saying, it's like that meme where it's like the urge to say we're back 10 minutes after saying it's over. That's me every day.
Sure is.
I'm like, I'm just going to dive in head first, even though I know that the part of the pool I'm diving in is 3 feet deep, but I'm going to dive in anyway.
Sure.
And then the next day I say, I don't want to have anything to do with this team.
It's understandable.
I don't know how to feel. So the thought, the pipe dream of maybe luring in a Juan Soto after being a rental for the Yankees, that's a dream I can hold on to. That's a dream I've had since lunch, and I'm not giving up on it now.
Okay. I wanted to know
Scott.
how long it's been sticking around. Is that about the same time frame since lunch? Same as Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Wondering where you cooked this up.
Speaking of cooking up, Mitch Keller will be cooking up for the Pirates for the next 5 years on a $77 million deal. I love this deal. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I like what the Pirates are doing. They lock up Mitch Keller. They've got Paul Skeens in the wings. Last year's number 1 pick in the draft. They locked up Brian Hayes. They got the guy that we all thought didn't want to be in Pittsburgh, Brian Reynolds. They can go at least through the 2030 season. I'm all about what the Pittsburgh... They're saying, Bob, sell the team. Maybe Bob should sell a team because the family that I got up in Pennsylvania, they say Pittsburgh Pirates are just the farm system for the rest of Major League Baseball. That might be true. We've seen it play out like that in years past. But as of today, February 26th, I like what the Pirates are doing. I see the vision. I see the movement. We're moving in the right direction. We're sailing the ship in the right direction. And with this latest move of signing Mitch Keller to a 5-year, $77 million extension through the 2028 season, I feel good about the Pirates.
I recorded that as well on my cello.
Big strings guy, Nate is.
Big cello guy, yeah. That's the one that stands up, right? I think.
That's the big boy, yep.
Yeah, dude. Agree with everything you said. I love what they're doing. It's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. And this is all you can ask for if you're a Pirates fan. This is all you can ask for. Grow some talent. Hold on to the talent once you realize it's talent. Build around. Mitch Keller deserves it. Great year last year. And it's a team friendly but still worthy type paycheck. I love it. And again, you just start setting precedent. The more guys you sign, the more you can see that, like, okay, these guys are sticking around. You find some success. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go walk away with the division or anything, but compete, get better, grow your talent, Who knows? In a perfect storm, who knows? Who knows what could happen? And then all of a sudden you trade for somebody. All of a sudden you extend somebody. All of a sudden you get a big free agent who wants to stick around because their hometown is there. Whatever it may be. But they're doing the right stuff. And I agree. Now's the time to sell. I mean, stock's never been higher.
Look,
Kutch went back, right?
Yeah, Kutch is back.
So Kutch is back. Milk that for as much as you can. Get
O'Neal
all that merch.
I agree. O'Neal Cruz will be back this year. Good on the Pirates, man, because look, this whole time, we Pirates fans, we haven't been asking you to go out there and spend $300 million on anybody.
No.
People just wanted you guys to pay people. That's it. The bare minimum. And to your point, setting precedent, letting guys know, one, who are in that clubhouse, and two, future potential targets that you'd may want to go after. You're letting them know that, hey, we're not the same cheap organization that we once were 2, 3, 4, however many years ago. This is a different team. They still have some work. They still have some work to do. They still have some ground to make up in that area, but they're heading in the right direction, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, 100%. Raise that thing. Raise it.
Speaking of raising it, Tim Anderson's going to need to raise that batting average if he wants to stick around in Major League Baseball. But the Marlins said, we think it might happen, so we'll take you on. The Miami Marlins signed Tim Anderson to a 1-year, $5 million contract. A season he presumably wants to forget, 2023. Yeah. I'm sure he's already blocked that out from his memory. Not a good year. His 582 OPS was the lowest among all qualified hitters in Major League Baseball. And ranked last in defensive runs saved for shortstop at -16. It was very strange. I saw somebody, I don't remember who posted about it, but they said the drop-off just doesn't make sense. He posted four consecutive seasons of hitting 300 or higher.
Yeah.
And then just had a sudden drop-off. Didn't make sense.
The defensive stuff you see, I think we just know that's how he is defensively. But yeah, he's typically a lock. You can roll him out there and hit 280, no problem. So it was weird to see. I'm personally not a huge fan of the guy, so it is what it is. But good for the Marlins. I mean, why not? What do you got to lose? $5 million? Whatever.
I mean, it's a good fit for him. Of all the teams out there, Marlins are known for their flair.
Get a shot to play every day.
Sure. But in terms of an environment, I think this works well for him. I mean, we all know this guy loves to play with some flair, and Miami's a place to do that. They outwardly embrace it. There's no hiding the fact that team, that city, the organization, they're all about trying to find ways to spice things up as opposed to the rest of the league, you could say. But I think it'll be a good fit, and I think a change of scenery might do him well.
I agree. Chicago's tough, man. And especially, I can't imagine starting every season up there. Every season. Starting off so dang cold. As a hitter, it's already it's hard getting your season going. So doing that in the cold, just got to be brutal. So yeah, change of scenery. And if he does get back to his typical ways in the box, him and Luis Arias, that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of hits between those two guys at the top of the lineup. So again, they still don't have any bop, but cool. Good signing, I suppose.
A couple deals happening today. Manuel Margot and Kiké Hernandez being shuffled around a little bit. Manuel Margot traded by the Dodgers to the Twins after hanging out with the team for what seemed like days. Hung around for a photo shoot, got some sweet pics for the IG in some Dodgers threads. But on his way out, heading to no, that's Canada. I was going to say the Great White North. That's Canada. Well, I mean, you're basically there in Minnesota. You're basically there.
They talk the same
thing. Exactly, same thing. And then corresponding move, the Dodgers signed Kiké Hernandez for a little bit of utility depth. Let's see the details.
So he came over, for those that don't know, he came over in the Glass Now deal.
Correct.
Weird. I think it's a little weird to like have him there for like 3 weeks. And then
I think, I know it sounds silly, but with stuff like this happens when it's these weird personnel, like, hey, you were here for a cup of coffee. I try to think about it in terms of fantasy, like the same way we've done for years, where it's like, are you willing? Yeah. Well, not so much that, but are you willing to take this guy on in a trade to get the guy that you're really after?
Oh, yeah.
And then you can figure out what you want to do with him after the fact. But if clearing up a spot for somebody helps them out and helps the deal get done, sure, we'll take on a Manny Margot. And if we don't find the pieces that we like, we keep them around and see how it pans out. But if not, or if we do find somebody, see ya. It was nice knowing you. Hope you enjoyed photo day. And they got their guy who to be honest, I didn't see not ending up in a Dodgers uniform to start the year. I mean, at this point, are we just looking at like a Clayton Kershaw-esque situation for Kiké where he just rides out 1-year deals with the Dodgers until it's over?
I suppose. What was the point of including him in the Margot deal? Or I mean, the Glasnow deal? You think that was a Rays thing or a Dodgers thing?
I don't know. What are they? Was it to make room for somebody, or they got somebody on the horizon that they're hoping to get into the mix?
Offload. Possible slight offload. Possible. He had a 2-year, $19 million deal. And then I think with this deal today, Dodgers sent some money with it, right?
Yeah, they did. That. Was it $8 million? Did I see $8 million? It wasn't a whole lot, all things considered. 6 mil. Yeah, so very minimal.
Which eats half of next year, which I think is a $12 million deal next year. So that makes sense. I'm confused. Because it's not that much of an offload for the Rays to like say like, hey, please take him. But also, why ask for him to be included in the deal if you're just going to ship him out of town and half of his contract for what? Did we even see what the return was?
Are you talking about on behalf of the Dodgers?
From the Twins, yeah.
They got shortstop Noah Miller.
So probably a low A guy. I mean, I'm not sitting here and saying like I'm not defending Manny Margot. I don't think he's anything great. You know, he's nice. He has occasional pop, pretty decent glove. But in all, like he's a below average major league hitter. So I don't think it's anything that like, I'm not saying the Dodgers are missing out on. It's just a weird thing. Like I understand including him in the deal. I don't know why the Rays gave him that much money.
To answer your question, Noah Miller, high A. He got up to high A last year. So
there you go.
Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's confusing.
I'm just glad they got their guy back. I mean, like I said, I didn't see Kiké starting the year with anybody other than LA, and they wanted to, or they needed to make a move to open up that spot for him. And within
side note, I'm a
minutes,
huge fan when players break their own contracts on social.
I love that.
Huge fan. Much better. Stop beating around the bush. Just tell people.
I think I saw he put a little teaser. Oh, sure enough, open up Instagram. He's the first post. Put a little teaser. He's got a little Dear LA. Wow, he put I didn't even read the caption. He put like a full on, or no, this was from 2021. So he just reposted it and then followed it up with the psych post and then dropped the contract details. I'm all about it. Big fan.
Okay. I just like when they do that. I just like when players just come out and say it. Like, but these reporters can figure it out later. I don't know. That's it. That's all I have to say on it. Kiké is Kiké. Why not? Clubhouse guy. Your entire roster couldn't be more stacked. Who, by the way, I will be seeing on Saturday. Going to my first spring training game Saturday.
Nice, dude. Congrats. That's big. That's big time.
Cubs Dodgers. So maybe I get a little Bellinger. It is a split squad day though, so I don't know how many Dodgers guys are going elsewhere. When I was putting in information, I almost got Dodgers Brewers tickets at the Brewers facility. Really, really glad I noticed that before hitting submit. Went back, going to Glendale, got some seats there.
That's
Dodgers.
not Camelback, right? Oh, that is Camelback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So where we were at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was Dodgers Rangers, I think, when we went.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mama Reyes be in town. Catch some rays, catch some sunshine, catch some beers and hot dogs. All the goods. Expensive, dude. Expensive.
It's a little unnecessary.
It's a little crazy. Yeah. They've gotten out of hand.
Are the Dodgers the outlier, though, just because of what they got in store for this season?
It's every place.
I mean, I remember it was a little rough when we were out there last year trying to find a game to go to. But
if you want to put your butt in an actual chair, it's a minimum of $60, I'd say.
That's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's so unnecessary.
Because in reality, you're only getting one or two ABs of players that you actually know. Outside of that,
no, that makes sense. Let's raise up to 100.
Yeah,
knowing that,
crazy.
Let's really get our money's worth here, MLB teams. Brandon Crawford signed with the St. Louis Cardinals, providing a little bit of infield depth, specifically some shortstop depth for Mason Wynn. I like what the Cardinals have in the infield. I like what we're looking at for this year. You obviously got Goldie at first. You got Nolan holding it down at third. But you got Mason Wynn holding it down at the sixth hole. You got Crawford as the backup. You got Brendan Donovan. You got Tommy Edman in the mix. I think he's projected.
He's going full-time center field, isn't he?
Yeah, but I'm reading that if things don't go as planned in the infield for the Cardinals, and if last year was any indication, things have a possibility of going wrong. You could see Tommy Edman back in the infield for, who knows, stretches, couple spot starts here and there, but they got pieces to work with. Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, as I said.
I expect one of those two guys to get sent somewhere soon.
Yeah.
If they have somewhat of a lackluster first half, I could see one of those guys going.
Sure, but working out of an overabundance.
Yeah.
Would be their scenario.
Name someone better to to mentor a young shortstop. You can't. You literally can't. Brandon Crawford's a freaking wizard. And I'm assuming Mason Wynn's reasoning behind all of his hype is more offensive than defensive. So get somebody in here that can work with that kid and be with that kid every single day next to him. This is a genius move that I don't care what Brandon Crawford provides you this year. Could be nothing. Could be nothing. And you're still getting value. So I like it.
You got to wonder, though, if he was looking at that Miami Marlins opening going, right, I feel like I could give you just a little something for just a little bit longer. Yeah. I wonder what it was that pushed him to St. Louis. One could assume it was lack of options at this point in time. But
oh, yeah. Yeah. I would assume
I guess you can't really hold out for much longer, given that we're already in the midst of games being played. So you gotta figure it out. Got to get settled in with whoever and get it going. But like I said, I'm liking that infield. To your point about Mason Wynn, he played for like 35, 40 games last year, hit like 172. So the potential is certainly there, but he's going to need to adapt to big league pitching.
Yeah.
And I think he being around guys like Goldie and Nolan, true pure hitters, that's where you're gonna benefit the most on the offensive side of the ball. But then to have Crawford next to you, I mean that's worth its weight in gold. I think Mason Wynn will be just fine.
It's really weird what's going on over there. Like you have this like older core. You know what I'm saying? Like you have Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan, and they're obviously getting older. Like let's just be honest. I think their best days are probably behind them. You're still going to get really good baseball out of them. Don't get me wrong. But then you have this like group right behind them that could be a long-term thing. Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn, like
Jordan Walker.
Right. It's odd what's like, and they're basically MLB ready while you have these like future Hall of Famers kind of blocking them. It's really strange. I don't know how I feel about it. And like, if you are in a weird spot this year and you're underachieving, why not sell one of those guys, considering what you have coming up behind him?
I mean, the trade Nolan conversation was, dare I say, at its peak last year when the team was just torpedoing. Like, I mean, that was an ugly place to be if you're the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, people were calling, us included, calling for the manager to be fired, trade Nolan in the replies on every tweet. That was an ugly place to be. So if we even get a hint of that this year, maybe we just get ahead of the ball here, get ahead of the curve and say, we just do it. We gave a shot.
I guess I'm changing my mind. I said earlier that like one of Brendan Donovan or Nolan Gorman are getting moved. I think I feel safer saying one of Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt are getting moved. So, and they need pitching bad. They need to revamp that whole staff.
They got a rotation of geriatrics over there, but we'll see.
But again, start your season off. You bring in Sonny Gray, like it. Young studs certainly that are promising. Like you're not like, I don't think they're in a horrible position, and it's not like it's a ridiculously out of reach division either.
No, and this hodgepodge of depth that we're talking about, if it's enough if you get adequate performance out of these guys in the rotation, and this depth that we keep talking about, if that gets, we talk about this with everybody. If it can get you to the deadline, then you see what happens, and maybe you go out and get an arm that you desperately need, at least on this side of the ball. So I'm just trying to provide a little optimism for Cardinals fans, because I know we're coming off a rather demoralizing season.
I get it, and I think they're in good shape. I'm surprised they didn't do more trading of assets last year, but I do think they're in good shape, and I think that they have tradable assets again this year if it doesn't go well again. And I would that's a silver lining, if anything. Mm-hmm. It's much better than being a fan base where you're like, this roster has nothing and we have nothing in the pipeline. We can't even sell what we have to revamp in any way. There could be worse situations.
Sure.
In tougher divisions.
Correct. It's a very valid point. Speaking of divisions, let's switch over to the NL East. Look at the Mets specifically. Some tough news for their rotation. Kodai Senga is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks, all but ruling out. I don't think they've officially ruled it out, but will not be your opening day starter.
Yeah.
Was diagnosed with a moderate capsule strain in his pitching shoulder after an MRI. Yeah, he won't throw for 3 weeks, getting a PRP shot. It's just more Mets.
Look, I'm going to say it. Everyone's thinking it. This is what makes you fearful of signing Japanese pitchers. We've seen this movie before, and I hope hope it's just a minor setback. I hope he's healthy. I hope he doesn't have to deal with continuing problems. But this is why. It happens often. So I'm not surprised, on top of the fact that there's a Mets logo on top of it. So
fair, but you look at the contract. This is I believe the second year of a $575 deal,
which isn't crazy.
Right. Which is
I'm saying just in general.
No, for sure. But I'm
all
saying,
of a sudden, a year later, we see Yamamoto with 300 and never thrown a pitch in this league before.
Right.
So,
no, I'm totally with you on that. I'm just saying, again, looking at specific situations, trying to find some optimism for some of these clubs. It could be worse if you're the Mets. Like you could have dumped a whole lot more. You could have invested a lot more stock into this guy. But you got him on not knowing what he'd be able to provide you on American soil. You got him at a relatively on a relatively fair deal.
Yeah.
And like you said, assuming this is nothing more than a minor setback, and he can give you that same level of output that we saw last year. I think he finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Mm-hmm. I think you're okay. I think you can look elsewhere to take your lumps if you're the Mets, because they're coming. But for their sake, for Kodai's sake, I hope it's not him that they're focused on, because when he's on, he gives you the stuff.
The only thing they need to be focused on is finding a trade partner for Pete Alonso, because he ain't finishing the year there.
You think he's gone?
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird situation. There's a whole lot of like, we want him. I want to stay here. And also like, I'm probably not going to stay here. Yeah. That's very strange.
It's
very
a lot
Mets.
of weirdness, but yeah, it's true. Mets going Met. Sorry, Kodai. I do like Kodai.
Yeah. Big fan.
I don't really like most of that roster, but
Ghost Fork. The Ghost Fork? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can coin something like that,
it's true. And you get the
You're
ghost
okay. You're okay in my book.
on your glove. It's pretty sick.
Big fan. You know what I'm not a big fan of, Nate? And we can kind of wrap it up with this. I know we touched on a little bit last episode, but since the last time we talked about these uniforms, there's been a whole nother storm of kickback on the pants. Last time we talked, it was about the tops.
Yeah.
But what a mess they have on their hands. And that Major League, when I say they, I'm talking Major League Baseball fanatics, they don't really seem to care. Rob Manfred has come out and adamantly stated that this was done for the sake of performance, keep these guys cooler, keep them sleeker, keep them lighter. Well, Rob, I'm all for that. I think improving the wearable technology in the form of uniforms is important. I think it should continue to evolve. But if you're going to put guys out in uniforms, the uniforms have to consist of actual clothing, like actual threads, actual yarn, actual
I'm nervous
polyester.
for the day that someone gets like a Gatorade bath after a walk-off. Or who knows what we're going to see.
I haven't even considered that. I'm stuck at thinking about what this is going to look like in mid-July in Florida.
Swampy booty.
When it's 117 degrees out.
And that swass is working.
I mean, again, I said it last week. How many levels of approval did this have to go through? You're telling me not one person saw this and said, hey, maybe let's not push this through just yet because you can see genitalia. Like that right then and there. That should have been where the conversation started and stopped. Like, hey, should we roll these pants out? No, because you can see balls. That's what we're dealing with. These pants are atrocious. And I was listening to the Red Sox game today on the radio, and they were talking about it on the broadcast, which I love when broadcasters just kind of go off script a little bit and they let you know like what they're really thinking. And they brought up a good point. I think it was Lou Merlone was talking about how like the major league uniform used to like represent something. It used to mean something. It used to resemble the class and the standard that is Major League Baseball. That's as high as it goes, Major League Baseball. So you better be giving these players the best of the best. And when you're rolling these guys out in uniforms that aren't even adequate enough to ward off a trip to Dick's Sporting Goods to find a backup pair of pants, because that's happened with some of these guys. They said, I might need to run to the old sporting goods store because these aren't it. If that's what you're rolling these guys out in, that and it's the people that say, well, and there's been a lot of guys even within baseball. Forget about the fans that don't care. There've been a lot of guys in the league that are just like, whatever, it is what it is. I'm like, have some pride in something. Like Mookie Betts was just like, as long as I got a uniform. I'm like, dude, first of all, Mookie Betts has never been in solidarity with like anything when it comes to like other guys around the league. He's going to do what he's going to do. And that's that. So I'm not surprised as much with him, but other guys have spoken out around the league being like, it is what it is. You know,
like, I saw wearing pants down regardless. Today, by the way, Mookie Betts.
I've seen a lot more of that. I think that might be the move now that he's the infielder. Yeah,
whatever. I heard the guys aren't able to get him tailored the way they like.
The sizes are all off.
Yeah,
it's just a mess. And so finishing up my thought, the fans who are just like, who cares? They're just uniforms. It's like, yes, I get it. We're not the ones wearing these on-field, quote unquote, authentic uniforms. And it shouldn't really matter to us, but it's indicative of the direction of Major League Baseball to me. That if you can't even get the uniform that represents the teams that these players play for and ultimately representing the league as a whole, if you can't even get that right, then what other corners are we cutting? What other ways are we trying to maximize profits at the cost or the sake of quality of product that whether it's on field, whether it's apparel, whether it's TV deals, whatever it is, what corners are we cutting as a league, Major League Baseball, where we're just trying to maximize the dollar and then sweep it under the rug under the guise of increased airflow? It doesn't matter. Put these guys in pants that they can wear. Like, why are we talking about this? This shouldn't even be a topic of conversation. Why are we talking about see-through baseball pants rolling into spring training? I said this, I tweeted this out yesterday, or it may have been even today, in reference to the MLB Network conversation that you and I were having.
Oh yeah.
Where you can't, if you're subscribed to MLB TV, you still don't have access to MLB TV or MLB Network. You have to have that through like a cable provider. To which I tweeted, so we pay $150 for MLB TV and we don't get access to MLB Network. Major League Baseball insists on getting and staying in its own way. The short-sightedness of milking a percentage of fans for every last dollar instead of making the game accessible to countless fans and getting to a point of printing money is beyond counterproductive. That was in reference to the MLB Network, again, conversation you and I were having, but you could also apply that to these uniforms. It's like, we're trying to you're rolling them out in the cheapest quality pants, uniforms as a whole possible to maximize profits. Why not just go back to what we were doing when this wasn't a topic of conversation? And then we can worry about other things like, I don't know, maybe ending blackouts.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Two things. Nike is going to Nike. The other thing is, if for those unfamiliar, this is a 10-year agreement that started in 2020. So we're not even halfway there.
Which, to clear something up, there's been a lot of confusion in the comments saying, well, is it Nike? Is it Fanatics? Nike, they are designed by Nike, but they're manufactured by Fanatics. So really, it's like a three-headed monster we're dealing with here. Major League Baseball, Nike, and Fanatics. Like everybody, you could say at the end of the day is responsible for the issue.
Because if Nike's outsourcing their manufacturing to Fanatics, that's a Nike issue. And with Nike's logo on it instead of the Fanatics logo, you can probably assume that Nike is going to be the one to fix this. So, it's bad. It makes me think of like, you remember those like weird 1 or 2 years in the NBA where they had like short sleeve jerseys? That's what makes this is just as catastrophic. This is just as bad. You remember those? Where it was like weird. It wasn't even like a short sleeve, but it was like a girl's short sleeve.
I think
barely
that's
went over
when
the shoulder.
Why do I remember LeBron being in Cleveland at that time?
He was, yeah.
Okay.
It was like him and Kyrie were there together.
Yeah. I remember those jerseys. That was hideous.
Yeah. That's what
like,
makes
what are we doing?
Yeah, these are like Halloween costume MLB jerseys.
To people say that it's not a big deal and that you can't really notice it. You can tell if you watch what brand of you can tell what brand of compression shorts these guys are wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. You can definitely tell. We talked about the tops last week, but like I can't even read the names on the backs of jerseys right now. I can't even read them. It's so small, and like the lettering or like the lining around the letters, it's impossible.
Well, I know, like I said, last week we talked about the tops, and I thought we were kind of going to be done with that. But since that conversation that we had, more issues have come up with the tops in regards to the letter spacing now and the angling. Right. I don't know if you saw, I think it was Michael Chavis in Seattle. he took a picture of his uniform, and I don't even think there was I might be mistaken. I don't even think he put a caption. It was just like presented without comment, essentially. And the number height was off. So I think he's 10 because he took over Kelnick's number. The 1 and the 0 are like different heights.
Oh boy.
And the letter spacing is crooked and not consistent across the name. Like it's. And then I saw Ian Happ, I think I posted it actually, where it's like an H and an A and then a gap, just like a triangular gap in the middle. And then you got the 2 P's off, like cockeyed off to the side. And they're like grouped together and they've got to get, it's a mess. It's a mess. And the more that I see, like at first I thought that it was just a letter size issue, but like I said, I've since been seeing more and more one-off. I say one-off, but unique issues that are coming up. Where for some it'll be the spacing, for some it'll be the letter size, it'll be the letter height, and then it's I don't know. Like. They're not even proofing these jerseys. I think they just they throw the steam on there and they say, let's move along. I don't understand. Just be better. Trey Turner came out and said everyone hates him. And I think as baseball fans, we can go ahead and ignore, like we talked about last week, you can ignore all the Nike sponsored athletes who are coming out and trying to take a phony stance for they're getting paid to say that. Listen to guys like Trey who are just telling you how it is. You've got other players posting about it on social. Like, what are we doing? Just fix the issue. How hard is it for Rob? Just for once, do something right and don't wait to do it. At this point, it's I would argue it's already too late. But how hard would it be for Rob Manfred to just come out and say, hey, we got this wrong. We messed up. We're going to do what we need to do to fix it. As the commissioner of Major League Baseball, regardless if it's a Nike issue, regardless if it's a Fanatics issue, as the league that is rolling these uniforms out there, just come out and say, hey, look, we're going to go behind closed doors. We're going to get this ironed out. No pun intended. We're going to go ahead and get this fixed, so that this isn't an issue anymore, so that this isn't a topic of conversation, because it shouldn't be, because this should have never happened in the first place, because we're better than that, because we're Major League Baseball. That's all. How hard would it be to do that? But he doesn't.
In Tony Clark, I trust. That man gets stuff done.
I mean, he came out and said that it's disappointing. He said each conversation with the guys is yielding more information with what we're seeing. A lot of the rhetoric is confirmation that the pants are see-through. It's been an ongoing conversation where each day has yielded something new, as I was saying, that doesn't seem to make as much sense as you would like it. It's literally, there's a new issue coming up with these things each and every day. And it's...
Well, look, when you talk about how guys get a percentage of jersey sales... And if jersey sales are going to be down because of the quality of jersey that's being made and printed and sent out there, there you go. Someone's going to step in, and big white bearded Tony Clark is going to put an end to this nonsense. That beard is impeccable.
It's pristine. I'll give him that. All right. I don't want to talk about uniforms anymore. All I'm saying is just fix it before opening day. Like, sure, whatever. We can have a circus out there for spring training. I don't really care. Not that many people are watching. Just have it fixed by opening day. It's really not that big of a deal. And spare me on the whole like inventory issue or whatever.
Yeah.
Give them away. Give them away to little leagues where they belong, because these are little league products, and I'm sure they would benefit from. I mean, talk about a great PR move. Say, hey, we messed up, but you know what? We're gonna. I mean, these are grown men uniforms, so it may not work with little league.
Don't overthink it.
You get what I'm saying? Like a lot of these Nike crap products, I'm sure it could benefit somebody. So just give them away and let's start fresh. That's all we need to do. Easy fix, MLB. Closing the book here, unless you wanted to get to anything else.
I'm out of it.
I believe, last week Netflix announced via Twitter that they will be releasing a documentary on the exodus, if you will, of the Montreal Expos. They tweeted out, they said, the tweet said, in 2004, Quebec's beloved Expos left Montreal. A new documentary coming to Netflix will explore the setbacks that led to the baseball team's departure and how it continues to spark debate 20 years later. And then I believe the president of the production team, which I believe is called Attraction, Richard Spears, said, quote, "The Expos were the first MLB team outside of the U.S., and despite their departure from Montreal, they continue to have passionate fans to this day. This film will tell the story of the team through the eyes of those who lived it." I'm gonna be tuning into this.
As will I. When does that come out?
I want to say this year. Let me double check.
That's it. That's all we get. Netflix can't fill us in a little bit more.
I'm sure there was some follow up. Let's see. Because I know next year, presumably, I'm assuming next year will be the Red Sox doc.
Yeah. Filmed this year, released next year, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I'm assuming they're not going to crank that out like right after the season. I'm sure we're going to have to sit on that. Yeah, I'm not seeing when it's going to be released. I would venture this year.
I love that Netflix is getting into this, though. 2 baseball documentaries from Netflix. Never a bad thing. It's going to force me to sign up for Netflix again, unfortunately.
Netflix, yep. Yeah, they're cranking out some, over the last handful of years, they're cranking out some quality sports docs, I will say. Because I forgot that, I think Last Dance originated on Netflix, right? And then migrated to, no, I think it migrated to ESPN Plus, but I think it started on Netflix.
I think it was the other way around.
I'm like 99% sure it started.
I'm like
Netflix.
99% sure. How do you feel about that then?
Okay, it said the series was released weekly from April 19th to April 19, 2020 to May 17, 2020. Episodes were released on Netflix the day after their ESPN airing. Okay, point taken. Point taken. But still,
tally one up.
There have been some they're showing up in the sports world.
They are the full swing, so bringing that back.
I'm excited.
The racing one, they're doing good. Good for Netflix.
I'm about it.
Still not ready to drop $18 a month on them.
That's insane. Isn't it up to like $15.99?
I don't know. No, I'm not doing it though. I got enough going on. Enough subscriptions.
Yeah.
Until they partner with something else. And when Netflix decides to go buy MLB or something and brings in MLB Network, that's when I'll pull the trigger. But everyone else is like, hey, you want Disney? I've got Hulu. Like everything else is partnered. Netflix is like, no, we're just going to stay on our own thing.
How about we just burn it all and just go back to cable like we originally planned? This is getting out of control, dude. The streaming is out of control. I can't with these subscriptions anymore. Everything is subscription now.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. Sure is.
I hate it.
And it's like only some of them get rights to some things. It does make me miss cable.
I get it. I mean, we're basically paying
the same as what we did for cable.
No. What I'm saying is like we're ultimately paying for the freedom and the flexibility to watch what we want when we want it. But it's like in terms of content, it's so scattered and spread out.
Right.
It's like, can we if there's something out there, can somebody tell me, like, is there like a la carte option where you just pick what you want and just pay like a singular fee?
There is, and it's not legal.
Okay, well, we can have that conversation off air.
My mom and stepdad use it, and it is very spotty, but they have like 18,000 channels, and there's just a little app that they download that probably is taken over their little Fire Stick. But it works.
We'll take that off air. Anything else you got before we head out of here?
It feels good to be able to just throw a game on during your workday.
Sure does.
I missed it. I miss that. It does feel great. I will report back after my spring training experience.
What day is that, you said?
Saturday.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Be looking forward to hearing it.
Catching Chris Stapleton Friday night. Nice. Spring training Saturday. It's going to be a good weekend. Real good weekend. I'll let you know. I will report back on my findings with the menu as well, as always. If
this Joey Votto third host thing doesn't work out, let me run it by Yamamoto.
Okay.
And see if he has any interest in.
I'll snag him
being our full-time third host.
I like that.
We can snag him in between start days. It'll be fine. It'll work.
I am going to be real bummed if Ohtani's on the split squad in Milwaukee. But I went with like I'm thinking superstars are going to be at home for split squad.
Isn't that how? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that usually how? Honestly, I don't know, but I just assume, don't they? For split squad days, don't they just keep guys at home?
I think for the most part, I think it depends on the position too. But obviously, like the Dodgers roster is pretty figured out. I don't think there's a whole lot of position competition going on. So I hope so.
Yeah. But they're deep enough to where there's going to be names on the road and at home. Like you're not going to have like maybe the names on the road, but if they keep their stars at home, you'll have some names on the road wherever they're at. So looking forward to hearing how that goes. But other than that, that's all I got.
Rate, review, subscribe, hit us up on YouTube. Trying to get those
2K.
2,000.
Trying to get to 2K by the end of the year. So let's keep that moving. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed thus far. But if you haven't, let's keep it rolling. Let's hit 2K.
Yeah. Go create fake email addresses to then subscribe. Go log into your grandma's TV. Subscribe there.
Yes.
Without her knowing.
And here's an enticer. If you're somebody who's like, well, I don't want to watch your episodes on YouTube, I'm more of an audio person, go subscribe. And then just as like a one-off to get yourself in the baseball zone, check out our vlog from last year's World Baseball Classic. This time of year, I'm going to be pushing that. Go back and watch that. I went back and watched it the other day just for kicks.
Get a little gassed up.
Took me back. It took me back. That was a good time. So
it's absolutely crazy. It's been a year.
It's wild. So if you don't want to watch us on YouTube, at least go subscribe and then go check out the World Baseball Classic vlog we put out last year. And there's your trade-off. But other than that, appreciate you all. Love you all. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love y'all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.